Hi guys and welcome. We are going to be doing a what do you need to bring in and what do you need to leave behind type reading. I've been wanting to do this reading for a little while, but it just kind of never felt right. We do have the new moon in Virgo coming up, or it's tonight for you possibly, depending on where in the world you are. So this is probably a really good time to do the reading. So and I think, honestly, I think that especially works because just a little astrology, the Virgo New Moon is about the daily habits and the daily routines, the minute details that do lead to success. So, this is like if the thing that you want to bring in, or if the thing that comes up during this reading requires a lot of discipline, the Virgo New Moon is like the perfect time to do that. So, that being said, I brought out my 3 pendulum babies. They are going to actually interact with us a little bit for the reading, depending on which pile you choose. I recently got a version of the Rebel deck. You may have seen that in, if you watch other tarot readers, you may have seen that deck in their videos. It's a very sassy deck. I got a version that is a little bit more scenario answer, and we're going to use that today. So we are going to use a combination of the pendulums, or you could use the scenario card that I end up drawing for each pile to pick your pile. There's several ways you could pick the piles, and then so for what you need, we're going to get 1 answer card and 2 cards from the Kitchen Witch Oracle. What you need to leave, same thing. We're going to have them on 2 sides of the spread. And then we're going to use the Moon and Star Tarot. We're going to ask what would help you release this? What steps can you take? How to prepare for the change? How to bring in your need, the thing that Spirit says that you need to bring in, and how to utilize it. And then we'll have a little portion at the end where you can think of a question, and we will ask the pendulum for the answer to your question. Okay? So let me go ahead and shuffle the scenario cards and figure out what card goes with each pile, and then I will introduce you to the piles. I have all my little fall gnomes out. It makes me so happy. Do you guys like the gnomes? Let me know in the comments if you do. All right. So pile 1, what is pile 1's scenario? What is pile 1's scenario? And each card is going to be different. So I'm expecting each pile to be a very different reading from the previous one. Okay. So pile 1's scenario. Please, Spirit. Pile 1's scenario. We'll see. Pile 1 scenario. Pile 1 scenario, Spirit. Pile 1 scenario. My goodness, you are stubborn, huh? There we go. Okay. Put that there for a second. Pile 2's scenario, Spirit. Pile 2's scenario. Pile 2. Okay. Turn that over for the moment. And then pile 3's scenario, Spirit. Pile 3's scenario. Pile 3's scenario, Spirit. Pile 3's scenario. Pile 3's scenario, please, Spirit. Oh my god. We're gonna use the one that ended up on camera. Okay. Pick up these other ones. There was like 5 cards that fell out. Okay. Cool. So, let's go ahead and reveal and introduce each pile. So pile 1, you are going to be this Amethyst and Quartz pendulum. And your card is, I am frustrated with work, blank could change my attitude. So that's pile 1. Pile 2, this is your pendulum, just a very simple quartz pendulum. And your card says, I need to move my ass, but first blank would make me feel better. So that one's much more related to motivation itself. In pile 3, yours is the Chakra pendulum. This one was actually gifted to me for my birthday a few years ago. And your card says, I feel kind of crappy. Blank will make me feel a little less out of it. Okay, so I feel like that's... So pile 1, this feels more like a career-esque question. Pile 2, it's more of a motivation-esque question. And pile 3, I'm getting health, mental health-esque question. Now, whatever you're here for, it doesn't have to be related to one of those piles, obviously, or one of those categories. Obviously, things will pop up during the reading since we're leaving it so open-ended. So this is just how I'm viewing the question right now. So you can choose based on the card. Maybe one of the pendulums caught your attention. I think you noticed that some of them move slightly differently, so maybe the movement resonated with you. Maybe the timestamp number will resonate with you. Go ahead and give yourself a few minutes to meditate on that, and I will see you at your pile. Hi, pile 1. If you chose the Amethyst and Quartz pendulum, or the I am frustrated with work, blank could change my attitude card, this is your pile. We're going to put that pendulum up there for the moment. So we're going to take a look at both sides of your pile, what you need to bring in, what to leave behind, and then after we go into your oracle cards, we'll go ahead and use the tarot to ask some slightly more specific questions, and then we'll leave it so that you can ask the pendulum a question of your own. Okay? All right, pile 1. So what you need to bring in, I am frustrated with work. Herbal remedies could change my attitude. Okay. Herbal remedies. We have cumin, faithfulness. And it's funny that that says herbal remedies, because literally these green cards that we're using, these are the Kitchen Witch's Oracle. So this is nothing but herbal correspondences. So cumin with faithfulness and rosemary with memories. Okay. And then what you need to leave behind. Embracing my self-worth. Okay. Intrusion. Oh, right. And arnica recovery. Okay. All right. So we're going to start with this side, the leaving side. So with embracing my self-worth and intrusion and recovery, I'm not looking at this as spirit saying that you need to discard your self-worth. Well, kind of. You need to discard limiting ideas you have about your own worth, especially if they're stemming from your work environment. If your work environment is really, if it's kind of oppressive, if it's very competitive, if your flaws are being pointed out more than like the things that you do really well, your strengths are being ignored. Honestly, normally I would tell you that you need to leave that job, but for a lot of people, that's not reality. Okay, and that's probably why you were attracted to this pile, because that is simply not your reality. That is not something you can afford to do at this time. So You need to leave behind ideas that you have been, I just heard the word festering. So, ideas that have been festering or feelings that have been festering regarding your self worth and feeling that you are less than worthy or that you don't deserve the job you have or the position that you have or how much you get paid or just any ways in which it's disrupting how you feel about yourself. I'm, what was that? A metaphor started to like come into my mind and I kind of lost it. Okay, I don't remember exactly who said this, but it's a quote about if you take a fish out of water and you expect it to fly, it's going to spend the rest of its life believing it is stupid. Um, the reason that's coming to mind is a lot of people, especially if you do like retail work or minimum wage kind of work, or anything that's considered unskilled labor. First of all, there's no such thing in my mind as unskilled labor. Every single job has its own set of skills that you need to be able to come with. The things that are termed unskilled labor are things that you simply don't need degrees or certificates for. Okay? That does not make those things unskilled. However, that's a very capitalistic point of view, and it's, in my opinion, incredibly unhelpful. And it takes meaning and value away from the people that do those kinds of work, right? Um, but a lot of people who do that kind of work, they they're usually not using their own innate talents to get that job done. It's just kind of a job that pays the bills. Okay, it doesn't light them up usually. It doesn't use like, okay, if you're a painter, for example, like if you paint in your free time and you haven't taken off as a painter, and maybe you're super talented at it, but you're also working as a checker. Okay, so those skills don't transfer from one to the other. Okay, and maybe you're a painter and like you have a really hard time, for example, with your emotions, or maybe you feel a lot of big emotions. And because you have a lot of emotions, that transfers really, really well into your artwork. That transfers really, really well into your painting in order to make them more beautiful, to communicate things better through that medium. But having big emotions is not something that's nice to experience when you are dealing with people for 8 hours. Having really big emotions ends up feeling like a weakness and a detriment when you have to work with people day in and day out because most people don't know how to deal with their emotions in a super healthy way. And people who do work like, again, retail, checking, servers, they unfortunately are there can be a lot of people who look at those people as if they're less because of the kind of work they do. And the point is, and we should have learned this during COVID, but many people didn't, those are the kinds of jobs that keep the world running. You have to have service workers in order for the rest of the world to be happy with life because they don't realize that they are, in fact, unhappy with life. I don't know where that rant came from. But, point being, if people are making you feel less because of the kind of work that you do or because your own innate skills and talents don't transfer well into the kind of work that you currently do in order to pay the bills, that does not mean you are worthless. It also does not mean that you are without talent, you are without skill, da da da. It just means that at this moment in time, you do not yet have the opportunity to use your own skills in order to make money. That takes time. That takes a lot of time. It takes consistency. And it's why a lot of people end up giving up on their dreams. It's because they come home from their 9 to 5 and they don't have the energy to put forth the thing that they actually really love. Because let's be honest here, most jobs that are 9 to 5s just to pay the bills, a lot of them suck. A lot of them suck unless you have a really solid sense of self and really solid mental health. My guess is going to be with self-worth, intrusion, and recovery. That is not the case for you, and it's really eating at you mentally, emotionally. With intrusion here, I'm going to bet that a lot of these thoughts are intrusive. These weren't thoughts that you had before you started this job. These are not thoughts that you necessarily have before you go into the place that you work, but they're thoughts that you have by the time you're leaving. So you need to work on healing your mental health, healing your own self-worth, and healing and leaving behind intrusive thoughts, okay? That is what you need to leave. And I feel like even if you didn't pick this pile, that's solid advice for anybody. All right? Now then, what you need to bring in. Herbal remedies. In particular, I'm going to take, because of the kinds of cards that we're using here, and I didn't even know, this deck is so brand new to me. I opened it yesterday. I didn't even know that this was a card in this deck. So the fact that I felt called to use these oracle cards and this card happened to come out, Spirit definitely wants you to look into the ways in which you can use cumin and rosemary, I feel like, for one thing. So cumin is about faithfulness. I know that there are certain concoctions that can be made to promote faithfulness between partners that use cumin or cumin seeds. And then rosemary with memories. So, like I said before, I think a lot of you probably work this 9 to 5 until you can get up on your feet, utilizing your passion to make money. And I think the intrusive thoughts, the thoughts about your self-worth, are probably eating at your ability to have faith that that's ever going to happen, that you are good enough, that you deserve to follow your dreams. And Spirit wants you to get back into feeling like you are worthy of your dreams, that you are worthy of achieving the things that you want to do, of believing that what you want wants you. Okay? And then the other thing here, memories. I'm kind of getting, in particular, the idea of, on your weekends, for example, doing things that you enjoyed doing when you were younger just for the pure enjoyment of doing those things. Constantly allowing yourself to entertain the inner child is a way to keep them alive. It's a way to keep your dreams alive. It's a way to give yourself it's a healthy way of giving yourself the dopamine hits that you need to keep going. Okay? Doing things just for the joy of it. Doing things just for the play of it. And not worrying about making every single moment of your life productive. There is a reason that you hear the saying, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. Well, a dull boy becomes a depressed boy, or a girl for that matter. So that's what you need. This is what you need, and this is what to leave, okay? So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and then ask the tarot some more specific questions. So let's move all this up here. All right. All right, Spirit, what would help pile 1 to release ideas about their self-worth? What would help pile 1 release false ideas about their self-worth, Spirit? Okay. We have the 3 of Wands coming out with the 7 of Wands. So the 3 of Wands, it can mean communication and it can mean abundance. when you're looking at the Three of Wands, this person is sitting there waiting for the ship to come in, right? With the Seven of Wands here to modify the Three of Wands, so the Seven of Wands is someone, I actually recently heard this full-on explanation literally yesterday, from Kathy LaDonna. Her channel is Soul and Vibration. If you've never watched her, she gives really good big sister is talking to you kind of energy. And her work is always pretty short, sweet, and to the point. So the Seven of Wands is kind of the point in the journey where you have received a victory of some sort, but people are not happy for you, and now you have to defend that victory. Okay, so the thing that would help you release your limited self-worth, these intrusive thoughts, literally, if people are around you at your job talking shit to you, you shut that down. You shut that down immediately. If you have to, if you can do it one-on-one, that'd be great. Tell them to back off. Say, hey, that's not professional. That's not helpful. And, especially if you need to communicate that with that person, tell them, I'll communicate with you as long as it's about the job at hand. Beyond that, if you don't have anything helpful to add, then you don't need to be communicating with me. And if you have to take things like this, as far as going above people's heads, going to HR, do that. Those departments like human resources are around for a reason, and it's to help keep people safe within their workplace, okay? So yeah, Spirit wants you to definitely be challenging the people who are telling you that you ain't shit, telling you, trying to make you feel like your ideas or your projects are worthless. You need to just tell them to shut up. Shut up and sit down. Okay? Because we are getting the Seven of Wands in particular, and I felt the need to bring up someone who has the victory and people aren't happy for them. You could be someone where you're in a position of authority or power and people think you don't deserve it. And so they're bullying you, they're talking down to you. You need to tell them to shut up, because maybe not say shut up, but you need to tell them to pipe down because you're the boss now. It doesn't matter what they have to say. Okay? So yeah, another way this can be interpreted, if for some reason, if you're truly not comfortable with that, or if you're just not in an environment where that is a thing, if you really honestly think that taking it to a higher level will make things worse for you. The other thing you can do is, if you're noticing the intrusive thought, literally talk back to that. Talk back to the voice in your head. An easy way to do this is when you hear a thought. So often when we have negative thoughts and negative self-talk, they come from people who were harsh with us, maybe didn't have our best interests at heart, maybe disliked us, whatever. So that's where those kinds of thoughts come from. So when you notice those thoughts come up, I want you to go ahead and I want you to think about what someone who cares about you would say. If you have a really supportive parent, or if you have a supportive family member, girlfriend, boyfriend, a really supportive friend, what would they say if they heard someone say to you the things that your intrusive things say? You're going to think about that, and you're going to say those things back to your intrusive thoughts, which it sounds a little crazy, but it honestly does work. If you can't actually talk back to the people talking shit to you, at the very least, talk back to your shitty thoughts. Okay? So that's that. Now we're going to ask, Spirit, what steps could Pile 1 take to help release their self-worth issues? Spirit, what steps could Pile 1 take to help release their self-worth issues? Okay. Okay, I did not mean to take that out, but I'm taking it. So we have Seven of Swords, 7 coming out again, with Three of Swords in the reverse. So another 3 and 7 combination. That's really odd. 3 and 7 together do make 10, and 10 is completion. Like maybe, you know, the thing that that's on your mind, like maybe this is like the last thing that you need to deal with in order to complete a cycle. Just an errant thought that I'm having. So the steps you can take to help you release your self-worth issues. So we have the Seven of Swords coming out with the Three of Swords in the reverse. I feel like Seven of Swords being, it can be deceit, it can be getting caught. And then with the Three of Swords in reverse. So Three of Swords in reverse is healing pain, healing heartache. Maybe the person who talks shit to you is someone that you really care about. Yeah, I'm getting for some of you, like the reason that this is affecting you so badly and the reason that you have such a hard time standing up for yourself is the person who um is being very harmful to you is someone that you really care about, maybe someone that you like. It could be someone that you admire. First of all, if someone is talking poorly to you, making you feel bad about yourself, making you feel like nothing you do is good enough, your admiration and affection could be better spent on someone else. And this is something that, like, a lot of people unfortunately ending up having to learn the hard way because, if we don't really like ourselves to begin with, or if we have a lot of limiting thoughts to begin with, and then if we end up in a connection with someone, whether that be friendship, a boss or a mentor, a romantic interest, and that person also doesn't have a very good opinion of us, it usually doesn't deter us from liking them, but it does further ingrain the limiting ideas and beliefs that we already have, the unhelpful thoughts that we already have. And Spirit wants you to know that anyone who is actually worth your admiration, actually worth your affection, someone that you should not waste, but like use your energy caring about, is going to be someone that cares about you in return. And someone who cares about you, yeah, maybe they'll push you to be better, maybe they'll offer you constructive criticism. They're not going to tear you down. They're not going to tear you down. They're not going to call you out on your name. They're not going to, tell you that you're a piece of shit. I don't know why I'm coming up with that in particular. Like, if someone's telling you that you're a piece of shit, you need to not listen to them. You need to disconnect from them as much as you possibly can, okay? Because not. You're not. The energy I'm getting from this person is someone who the card says frustrated, but that's not really like the energy I'm getting is someone who feels weak within themselves. That's the energy I'm getting. Okay? You are not a piece of shit, and you don't need to be entertaining people that tell you that you are. All right? And so with Seven of Swords coming out with Three of Swords in the reverse, you need to tell this person like off. Which is very similar to the first answer. You need to tell this person off. You need to tell this person, that what they say is hurtful to you. Like if this is someone who is supposed to be your friend, they're supposed to be a loved one, like, maybe telling them what they say is hurtful is really all you need to do in order to break the cycle. If that's not the case, then with the Seven of Swords, it can also be, opening your mouth to someone else who could step in. And yeah, maybe they're going to get in trouble for the way that they're acting towards you, but they don't need to be acting that way towards you. If they get in trouble for being a bully or being mean to you or what have you, first of all, they probably don't only do it to you. They probably also do it to other people. Bullies don't bully for really any other reason than they feel like shit about themselves and they don't know how to deal with those feelings, so they go ahead and they just project it onto other people. They hurt other people, and so they can feel superior in order to kind of band-aid their own crappy feelings, right? So don't worry about whether or not this person's going to get in trouble if that's something you're worried about. You didn't get them in trouble. Their shitty behavior got them in trouble. I'm getting really heated. I'm sorry. But yeah, they need to be held accountable for their words, their actions, what have you. All right. So, God, I need another. I feel like I keep needing a sip of water with your reading, and we're like only halfway through it. I don't know if you really. If you really never say anything, if you just kind of take it, if you do, that really breaks my heart. You don't need to be taking any kind of abuse, okay? All right, so pile one, how can pile one prep for the change that's coming in? Okay. We have the world, yes. Which the world is completion. What was I saying? The 3 and 7 came out twice, and 3 and 7 together creates its number 10, which number 10 is, in numerology, 10s are completion. In tarot, this is card number 21. What else do we have? So what does pile one need to, how can they prep for the change that's going to occur for them? Okay. And then we have 8 of Pentacles in reverse. Okay. So if one of the reasons you allow people to talk to you the way that they do, and you talk to yourself the way that you do, is because you feel that you need to be perfect in some fashion, the way that you can prep to let go of self-limiting beliefs is to begin by letting go of the idea of perfection. Knowing when good enough is good enough, okay? Because honestly, nothing in life, oh my goodness, as I, almost knock down the entire table. Okay. I needed to turn on a light. Okay. Nothing in life is perfect, pile one. No person is perfect. No project becomes perfect. Nothing. Nothing is perfect. Is it nice to strive for it? Yes, it's nice to strive for it. But you need to learn when good enough is good enough. You need to learn when your own efforts are good enough. You need to learn that you are good enough. I'm thinking of I'm thinking of the song "Lost in a Portrait" by Trapped. It was off of their Punisher. It's off of the Punisher soundtrack, which that's old. Like, we're taking it to early 2000s. But I'm thinking of the song "Lost in a Portrait" by Trapped. And this isn't a song that you're going to use to like motivate yourself to get better, but it is a song that you're going to use if you're like, okay, I'm ready to release this idea that I need to be perfect. Generally, when we release things, we will cry them out and mourn the thing. I feel like the idea of perfection is something that has permeated your life for a very long time. I feel like you have believed for most of your life that you need to be perfect or that your efforts need to be perfect. you might be a Virgo, like, just because, like, Virgos really, really suffer from the idea of, like, they need to be perfect and everything needs to be perfect. And no one can see the ways in which they are not perfect. And it's why they're such harsh critics of themselves and others. And one of the main things that you're in this life to learn, if you are in fact like a Virgo, or if you're a Virgo rising, or if you have a Virgo North Node, is that perfect doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. And you do not need to beat yourself up over it. You need to let yourself mourn the idea of perfection and that you're ever going to reach it, because no one does. And all you do by holding so tightly to that idea is just further hurt yourself and prevent yourself from getting anywhere, because all you see is failure. You don't see good enough, you only see failure. And it's like, so in writing, and I'm sure this is true of other crafts, but I'm just going to use writing because it's the one I'm familiar with. In writing, they teach you that step one, like if you're actually taught writing properly, I'm not talking about like K through 12 essay crap, because that's not teaching writing. So when you're actually being taught writing, they teach you that first you need to just get it out, just get the whole thing out, whether it be an essay, a short story, a poem, a long story, prose, what have you. Just get it out, just get it out of you, okay? And then you let it sit for a minute. You let it sit for a minute, and then when you go to sit down with it, when you're editing and rewriting, so you do a one round of editing and or rewriting. You let someone else look at it. They bring it back to you. You do another round of editing and rewriting. You let someone look at it. They bring it back to you. The reason you have this back and forth exchange is it is so that the other person can like point out to you the things that either are not getting across or that are unconsciously getting across that maybe you don't notice because you know the meaning you are trying to make. The other reason you do it is because, like many other people who perform some kind of craft, most writers have imposter syndrome. Most writers think they're shitty writers, even though they're not, and it's because all they can see is the ways in which this piece could be better. The reason you need an outside person to look at this piece is to point out to you not only the things that are not quite getting communicated or subconsciously being communicated, but also the things that the piece is doing really well. Because I guarantee you, unless you have someone pointing it out to you, there are at least 5 things that piece is doing well that you don't see. And it's because all you see is the ways in which it could be more perfect. That piece never reaches publication if all you do is edit it and edit it and edit it and rewrite it and rewrite it and rewrite it. It's never going to actually be perfect. That's the thing. It's never going to actually be perfect. But if you get stuck in the cycle of constantly trying to make it perfect, it never sees the light of day. And wasn't that the point to begin with? For it to see the light of day? Similarly, you can apply that to basically any project. If all you're doing is just sitting there in the dark trying to form a project to perfection, it's never going to see the light of day. And it's because there's going to be things that you're always going to find things that you can tweak. You're always going to find things that you can tweak. The point is not perfection. The point is to take the thing and let the world see it. The point is to take yourself and let people see you. You do not need to be perfect. And people who are in a self-loathing cycle are often incredibly lonely people because they're too afraid to make connections with other people, because all they see is I'm imperfect. These people are also going to see that I'm imperfect. When they see that I'm imperfect, they're not going to want me. That's not true. That's not true. Everyone is imperfect. Everyone. Whoo, that was a spiel. Okay. I don't know which of you needed to hear that. It was a lot. But yeah, I feel like some of you, if not all of you, are really in this idea of perfect. I need to be perfect. Everything needs to be perfect. No. It needs to be good enough. And it and you needs to see the light of day. Let other people see. Let other people connect. Forget the people who refuse to see. And you need to mourn the idea of perfection and let it go. Mourn it and let it go. Okay? Okay. Now then. Ah, yes. Okay. Your need. Oh, that's the thing I was going to say earlier. Oh my God. Okay. So earlier when I was looking at herbal remedies, I was thinking to myself, I was like, yeah, you just need to drink some tea. And I totally forgot to say that. So you probably need to drink some tea, but let's see what the let's see what the cards have to say. Okay. So Spirit, how can pile one bring in their need, which it did say specifically herbal remedies. I do think you need to look into the ways that you can use cumin and rosemary for self-worth issues. And just to bring more joy into your life. Again, rosemary with memories. Doing things just for the sake of doing them, and like having faith. Just having faith in the universe and in yourself. But what else, Spirit? How can pile one bring in their need? How can pile one bring in their need, please, Spirit? I feel like this wants to come out. Two of Swords. How can pile one bring in their need? I'll take that. So we have, holy crap. Yeah. We have a lot of swords here, by the way. You might have significant air placements in your chart. That would be Libra, Gemini, Aquarius. So, how to bring in your need? We have 2 of Swords, 10 of Swords, and 9 of Swords. You need to make the choice to let go of your trauma, especially with 10 of Swords sitting here. 10 of Swords is the end of a difficult cycle. 2 of Swords is a decision, and 9 of Swords is trauma, anxiety, da-da-da. I was going to say this when I saw the Eight of Pentacles come out with the World. You might have known for a really long time that you need to let go of the idea of perfection. You may have known that your thoughts are unhelpful. You might know all of this, but for some reason you're really attached to your trauma. For some reason you are really attached to the idea that you're not worthy, and it could stem from a really strong fear of failure. You could be someone who is consistently self-sabotaging their efforts. If you have anxiety, burning lavender, just because I don't remember if lavender is edible or not, or drinking chamomile tea, those things will help calm you. I'm getting self-sabotage though. You need to pay more attention to when you are self-sabotaging. Maybe when you go for something and it doesn't go well, rather than doing things that give you a quick fix to not think about it, whether that be drinking a lot, whether that be if you go shopping for the dopamine, if you eat a lot of unhealthy food for the dopamine, if you use a lot of recreationals for the dopamine, like things like that. rather than numbing the memory and numbing the feelings that are coming up, brew yourself some tea and, get yourself nice and calm, brew yourself some tea, and journal about what had happened, what you think went wrong, and what you can do better. And on top of it, I think it would also be a really good idea to journal, like, for example, I recently had an interview that I realized after the fact that I self-sabotaged. I self-sabotaged it by being overly upfront about my own mental health issues and not letting my capabilities beyond my mental health shine, right? So if I were to do the journal, I would write about doing that, what went wrong. I self-sabotaged by talking about my mental health too much and masking it as, oh, I just want you to know what you're getting into with me. I'm just trying to be really honest. Da, da, da. And what could I do better? Well, not do that. But the other thing I would have you answer, or I would have myself answer if I was doing this journal, is why do I feel I did that? Why is it that I did that? What was it about, being victorious or getting the job that was actually scary to me? Or what false idea am I actually feeding? That's the other thing I would have you investigate. What is it about the thing that you sabotaged that you're afraid of? Or what limiting belief are you perpetuating with that self-sabotaging technique, basically? And the reason you would do this would be to start to really just look all this shit in the face. I'm saying shit a lot. Just look all of it in the face. Look your thoughts in the face. Look your fears in the face. That way you can actually deal with them. And the more you can recognize them, the less they will plague you, because you'll be able to recognize when you're acting from a place of fear, when you're acting from a place of limiting beliefs, when you're acting from a place of sabotage. And you can start to make decisions that are different from what you would normally do. Okay? So that's how you can bring in the need. Specifically, the other thing too is, again, rather than whatever tactic you normally use to not have to feel your feelings, to get that quick dopamine fix, because quick dopamine fixes are not sustainable, get into a practice of like using herbal remedies and drinking teas and burning incense and things like that. Using other methods to calm you that don't strongly change your brain chemistry. Okay? And then finally, how to utilize it. Spirit, how would pile 1 utilize this need that they're going to bring in? How would pile 1 utilize this, Spirit? Okay. Oh my goodness. Don't all fall. Okay. So many cards. All right, we have Temperance, which is card number 14, that is Sagittarius energy. And we have the Page of Wands in reverse. So the way you're going to utilize it with Temperance, you're going to utilize it to facilitate your healing. Quite literally, which is what we've been talking about this entire time. using more sustainable methods, using herbs to get where you need to be with yourself, with your feelings, not the quick dopamine hits. And then with the Page of Wands in reverse, I'm going to steer you away from basically don't quit your job and look for another one. Which is funny because I said earlier that maybe you need to do that. With the Page of Wands in reverse, this is more the energy of continuing with what you've already started rather than bringing a new project in. I think you have a need to see yourself bring this to completion. Whether, that be a project, whether that be taking a job as far as you want to actually take it. So, like, not quitting because people suck, but quit later when you're ready to quit after you've done everything you feel you can do. You're ready to move on to something better. Not quitting out of frustration, however. Or, like I said, bringing a project to completion. I think there's going to be something very healing for you by allowing yourself to keep going and not give up just because other people want you to give up. Okay? So, that all being said, pile one, we're now going to get to the final part. Go ahead and think about your question. Meditate on your question. Okay. And when you're ready to ask the question, you can either think it really hard, ask it out loud, and we are going to get the answer to your question. The answer is yes, but it's a small yes. Whatever you're asking about needs work or encouragement, or it needs something more. But if you give it whatever that extra thing it is that it needs, the answer is yes. Okay? Alright, pile one, I hope that was helpful to you. Let me know how you like this reading. Like, comment, subscribe, and if you would like guidance on a more personal level, go ahead and email me and we can set up a personal reading. I only charge $20 an hour and I book a week ahead of time, or if not, I love that you guys come to these general readings. I honestly love doing this. I probably would not continue if I didn't love it, honestly. And it's just really fun for me. So thank you for coming. Thank you for, giving me the little bursts that I need in order to keep this channel going. And I will see you again soon. Be good, be safe, and love and light to you. Bye. Hi, pile two. If you chose the quartz pendulum and the I need to move my ass, but first blank would make me feel better, then this is going to be your reading. So we're going to be looking at what you need to leave behind and what you need to bring in. We're going to reveal your piles first, and then we'll go over them, and we'll go over the tarot, and then we'll ask the pendulum a question. So let's see what we have. So, getting over my own bullshit. Onion tears. Garlic repel. I think it's a little interesting that you got two herbs that go together really well in most recipes. That's interesting. We're also going to put this up here for a second. Okay, and what to leave behind? We have loving and accepting myself. Okay. Coriander immortality. Patchouli purpose. Okay. So, pile two, um, dare I say that maybe you take yourself a little too seriously. That is what I'm getting from these two areas. We're going to go over the right side first, and then we'll jump over to the left. So, the right side, the things you need to leave behind. So, we have loving and accepting myself, coriander with immortality, and patchouli with purpose. Obviously, I'm not going to tell you that you need to stop loving and accepting yourself. Everyone needs to love and accept themselves. What I am going to say, especially with immortality and purpose being here, maybe you tend to forget that your shit stinks, if I might. Uh, this is a message that I feel is a little difficult to deliver without upsetting anybody, but like maybe you kind of avoid accountability, or maybe you don't like to look at your own flaws or things that you could do better. I need to move my ass, but first blank would make me feel better. And yeah, I don't know if that's something that's true for you, if like you struggle with accountability, um, or you take yourself too seriously. It's so some of you it's not even that you don't realize that your own shit stinks. It's like you pay way too much attention to like every little thing. It's kind of similar to pile one, so maybe you also resonate with pile one. If that's the case, then go ahead and look over there. It's similar to pile one in certain aspects, but different in others. Um, with immortality here, I kind of feel like you get into this habit and this cycle of overthinking every single thing that you did wrong or that was cringe. And like I said, you just take yourself way too seriously. Um, I guarantee you, you don't live as rent free in anyone else's head as much as you do in yours. I guarantee that no one is thinking about that weird thing you did last week. You're thinking about it, but no one else is. Okay? Um, it's it's giving not really the idea of thinking you need to be perfect. I'm not getting that, which is more what pile one's issue was. I'm not getting that you think you need to be perfect, but I am getting that you're so focused on an image, a specific image, that it's what keeps coming to mind is like those characters in it's giving like if you've ever watched Two Broke Girls, it's slightly giving Caroline a little bit. Like Caroline does certain things or says certain things or is concerned with things that are to the everyday person kind of silly. And it's because these are very status based things. These are very image based things. And it's because that is the world she grew up in. But in all actuality, those things don't matter. They're only about status and image. Okay. There's an episode. So if you've never seen the show, one of the plots going on is her father is in jail for embezzlement or fraudulence. I think those are the same things. I don't know a lot about legal terms. I'm sorry. But he's in jail, right? And they visit him every now and then. And in one of the episodes, there is a woman who is writing a book about her dad. It's a very, it's not a flattering book. Like, it's really meant to tear down his image. And she's saying that she at some point slept with him, and that's why she's a credible source, because she at one point slept with him. And when Caroline hears this, she says it's so silly. It's funny, but it's so silly. She's like, "I know you didn't sleep with her, Daddy. You would never sleep with a woman who wore white after Labor Day." Like, it's I don't think that's a basis on which anyone actually determines who they sleep with, but it's meant to be funny. We're meant to laugh at it, and it's about image and status. I think you're very, very concerned about upholding a specific image, and it's causing you to kind of like get into this rut, and you're focusing too hard on the wrong things. Like, maybe you went out on a date and you guys like took a picture or something, and you made a weird face in the picture, or you're like hyper focusing on the fact that for 2 seconds you had a double chin when in reality you don't actually have one. But because of that, now you don't want to go on a second date because you're like, oh my god, my double chin, da da da. And like, I'm not trying to minimize like insecurities people have, I'm not. But what I am trying to emphasize is it was a 2 second moment. You don't actually have a double chin. I mean, maybe you do, and if you do, that's not a bad thing, but you're hyper focusing on something that was a blip in your entire life, in your entire reality, and it's based on image. An image in the end doesn't really matter that much. Okay? However, with immortality and purpose both theme here, it's making me think that like, especially with how we live in the world of social media and we're taking pictures all the time. And so maybe you're afraid that this blip is going to live on forever. It's going to define you in some way. And I'm here to tell you it's not. Okay? I don't know what else I can really say on this particular subject. Um, so we're just going to jump over to the left side. So on the left side, the thing you need to do is getting over my own bullshit. Getting over yourself. You're allowed to have silly moments. You're allowed to have cringe moments. We do have tears and repel here, and we have onion and garlic. I'm actually going to take this because the onion card, so in the book, the onion section literally says, I will give you something to cry about. And then garlic talks about using like eating garlic and the smell of it and the power of it will repel other people's words, right? So gossip could be something that you're dealing with and it's really getting you down in the dumps, and if that's the case, you know, I am sorry. That's shitty. Gossip is not a nice thing to do to people. It's really bad to hear rumors about yourself, especially when they're not true. And even if they are true, not everyone needs to know your business, and they definitely don't need to be spreading it everywhere. So there is, and while that could be part of your reality, though, Spirit is telling you that you need to take back your power, and you need to remember that whatever it is, whether it's something that you're agonizing over, whether it's something other people are talking about, in the end, it's a blip in your reality, and you don't need to allow it. You don't need to allow it to make you feel stuck or make you feel like you need to be stuck at this time. But the more you focus on these little weird things, because I'm for a lot of you, I'm getting that these are not huge things. They might feel huge to you in the moment, but if you take a step back and really look at it, you realize it's not. And I think that's the thing that Spirit wants to bring to your attention, is that these things are not as big as you think they are. And you need to literally like take a breath, take a step back, get some perspective. And if people are talking shit, honestly, let them. This isn't like pile one. Pile one, I was telling people to shut down the people who were talking poorly to them, because in pile one really struggled with a self-worth issue. I don't feel like you actually struggle with a self-worth issue. I just feel like you care too much what other people think. That's what I kept trying to get out, and I couldn't get out the words to say that. Wow. So yeah, you care a little too much what other people think. I don't feel like you struggle with a self-worth issue, but you do take yourself way too seriously. If you're still here, let's go ahead and move on to the tarot. Okay. All right. So that was a lot. That was a lot, and yet I feel like I got through that a little bit faster than I got through pile one's portion that looked like this. All right. Pile one really needed a pep talk though, and you more need a big sister talk. Those are two very different things. All right. All right, so pile two. What would help you release? Okay. The Page of Swords in the reverse. What would help you release? Pile two. What would help you release? I don't know what to call that even, like, because I'm not going to say you need to release loving and accepting yourself. You definitely need to love and accept yourself. Everyone does. But, like, I don't want to say self-absorption. That sounds so mean. It really does. Over analyzing? We're just going to call it that. We're just going to call it that. Okay, what does pile two need? What would help pile two release their over analyzation? Thank you. Okay, so we have Four of Pentacles and the Page of Swords in reverse. So the Page of Swords in reverse really makes me think of it does make me think of gossip. It makes me think of gossip. It makes me think of like checking up on someone but not talking to them. A lot of like it's Page of Swords in reverse is a very like immature dodging of direct communication kind of thing. And then Four of Pentacles, that is control, that is self-control. So the first thing that you need to do to release like your tendency to like overanalyze like these cringe moments or whatever is you need to first stop participating in gossip. You need to stop participating in gossip. And if you're someone who spends a lot of time on social media and it's not something you do for money, like if you just tend to scroll social media all the time, I feel like you also need to stop doing that. There is a little bit of a comparison energy. And you just kind of need to get a handle on that behavior. Okay? So, yeah, stop participating in gossip. Don't be scrolling for the sake of comparison or like to like just really zero in on that double chin. I'm gonna keep coming back to that. That. But stop. Okay, you don't need to be. That's truly like just a waste of time. Honestly. Like looking at pictures of yourself when you feel unflattering and just staring at it for hours. You don't need to be doing that. You have better things to be doing with your time. Okay. What steps can pile 2 take to release this? What steps can pile 2 take to release this? I feel like your reading is going to be much shorter. What steps? Thank you. We have 8 of Wands. What steps can pile 2 take to release? Oh, okay. So we have 8 of Wands, and we have the Knight of Pentacles in the reverse. The Knight of Pentacles in reverse is a very dragging energy. Like, instead of like taking your time and being consistent, it's dragging. Which it's coming out with the 8 of Wands, and the 8 of Wands is quickness and speed. The Knight of Pentacles in reverse can also be inconsistency, or Spirit, can you clarify this pair, please? I just need a clarifying card. Spirit, can you clarify this pair of cards, please? I really need a ring light. Sorry, oh my god. See, and that's me agonizing over things that don't really matter. I don't think any of you are going to click off of this video because of a shadow, but here I am. Can you clarify the 8 of Wands with the Knight of Pentacles in reverse, Spirit? Can you clarify this? Thank you. King of Wands. Passion. Okay, so that makes a little bit more sense. Okay, so with the 8 of Wands, the Knight of Pentacles in reverse, and the King of Wands, so in order to stop caring so much about like gossip, what people think, tiny imperfections, you need to start taking up a little bit more of a passion project. You need to start spending a lot more time doing something that lights you up and that actually gives you a little bit more meaning and purpose beyond very superficial things. I feel like, and that's the thing that was kind of coming through with your leave behind cards, is that your purpose right now seems to be your own superficiality and becoming immortal through social media, and that's ultimately not long lasting. Ultimately, like, no one looks at these pictures forever. You need something else that will sustain you, that will, you know, if you want to last forever or last for some time after you're gone, you need to be doing something that is more meaningful, right? You need to be like losing yourself in, you know, if what you do for work is something that lights you up, you need to lose yourself in it, and you need to allow yourself to like really create something that you love, rather than just getting lost in how you look. This could also be like, to a less extreme case, you know, again, it can be more about like caring too much what other people think. You know, I literally set up a camera and I pull cards and I talk to you as if you're standing across from me or sitting across from me. I had to get past caring what people would think. I had to get past, you know, the fact that I don't have ideal equipment. I don't have a camcorder. I use my phone. I don't have a ring light. I have to use the sunlight and the light in my living room. There's a lot of things about the way that like I go about doing this that is super imperfect. And if those things stopped me, if I cared too much about what people think, about the fact that I don't have ideal equipment, my videos look not quite as good as other tarot readers' videos, and these messages would never get out. And it's not how good everything looks that actually matters, it's the message itself. What I'm doing right now, a lot of people would consider cringe. That doesn't matter. What matters is that I love what I'm doing and I love giving these messages, and it's really fun to me. And so, similarly, you need to not let the fear of what other people think stop you from doing things that you love doing, that you find joy in. Who cares what people think? Who cares if they find what you're doing cringe? If people are sitting there like obsessing over what you're doing and they think it's cringe, well, that's because they need a goddamn hobby. They need to find something better to think about. They're doing nothing with their lives, okay? So you need to pay more attention to what brings you up, to what lights you up, to what brings you joy, and stop caring what other people think. And if you are currently someone who hasn't yet found that passion project, the universe wants you to go ahead and do that so that you can focus your energy on something much more worthy of your energy. Okay? So, next, how can you prep for this change in thought? How can pile 2 prep for the change in thought that they're about to have, Spirit? Okay. We have the 5 of Cups in reverse. And we have the Tower. The Tower is card number 16. It is Aries energy. So, the Tower coming out with the 5 of Cups in reverse, I feel like it's giving when you had a... Okay, we're gonna change over to another form of media. We're gonna use Legally Blonde now, which is funny because I was kind of thinking of Legally Blonde earlier when I used the 2 broke girls thing example, but I couldn't think of a solid one. But we're gonna use Legally Blonde for this one. Okay, so the main character, Elle, she went through a major character arc, a major character change, right? And while there was nothing wrong with the friends that she had at the sorority, in fact, they were incredibly supportive of her going over to Harvard, um, she kind of like, there was a moment there when she told them what she was wanting to do, that they were like, Elle, are you okay? Are you sure? You think you can do this? Like, they were really hesitant. They ended up supporting her in the end, but she had to have the courage to tell them. And it's a Tower moment. It's not quite a Tower moment, but it is a major change that she needed to make, and she was honestly excited about it. Was she doing it for the right reasons? No, not necessarily, but like, it's have the courage to tell the people around you what you want to do, especially if it makes you excited. And her friends were supportive of her. They were there for her when she graduated, but they were not necessarily people that she could exactly take with her because she was becoming a different person. Our real friends will always be our friends no matter where we are in life. They will always be our friends. They do not always come with us in the same ways. They do not, like, when you move, for example, the friends that you left behind are always going to be your friends, but they're no longer the people that you see on a day-to-day basis. They're not necessarily going to be the people that you continue to call first when something happens. And that's part of evolution. I feel like with the 5 of Cups in reverse and the Tower, you're excited about the changes you want to make, because the 5 of Cups in reverse is someone who is recognizing what is still there, what they still have, And but the tower is a really large change. It's life changing. It's a huge transformation. Death is more of a personal transformation. The tower is a transformation of your life. And so Spirit wants you to continue to be excited for the change that's going to come in, and to just go ahead and let it happen and pay attention to what things are still remaining. Okay? That's a really roundabout way of saying all of that, but yeah, like, let the change happen and pay much more attention to what you still have around you. Okay? So now we're going to look at how to bring in the thing you need, which is getting over your own bullshit. It's so bitchy. Sorry. Alright, Spirit, how compile to better bring in getting over their old bullshit? I knew this deck was gonna make me laugh when I started using it. So we have the Star in reverse. Wow. Number 17 Aquarius energy, and we have the Two of Pentacles balance. Okay. So the Star in reverse it can be interpreted as being on the wrong path. I'm actually going to take it as taking the focus off of you a little bit. Balancing concern with yourself with concern for other people. Sharing the spotlight. That's how you can bring that in. One of the things that is coming to mind actually is certain mental disorders. It's very easy with certain mental disorders like borderline personality disorder and histrionic disorder. It's super easy to become self-absorbed. Not that anyone's actually trying to become self-absorbed, but because, like, to a degree, like, your mind is still in a very childlike state of survival, in terms that everything is kind of about you and your needs, and it's because needs weren't properly met when you were younger, right? So some of you, that might be something that you're struggling with, and if that's the case, I really feel for you. No one asks to have a disorder. They aren't fun to have, they're not fun to experience. And I kind of hate that we're in a society that really demonizes specific disorders, because, again, if you live with a mental disorder and you don't try to use it as a crutch, and you don't try to hurt people, but society does demonize certain disorders, and it's not like you asked to have it. And it's not like it's fun for you to have either. It can be in certain ways, depending on what's going on, but, like, in other ways, like, for example, I have borderline personality disorder, and I really hate the way I hear other people talk about it. I really hate, like, there's a podcast that I listen to. It's the Self Love Fix. And I love the podcast, but whenever she brings up people with borderline personality disorder, I cringe, because, like, I know she's not trying to be hurtful, but she talks about it as if, like, we're narcissists and we intend to hurt people, and I don't want anyone to, like, hate on her or anything like that. Like, her podcast, like, has been really helpful to me. But, like, even people who mean well, when they're trying to help other people, like, they'll bring up certain disorders and they'll totally demonize those disorders, and it's like, we have feelings too. We have feelings too. I don't enjoy when I go off on people. In fact, that's part of that disorder, is going off on someone because you feel super threatened. Your livelihood feels threatened in some way. You go off on a person, and then immediately afterwards, you hate yourself. So if you're someone where this issue is coming from a mental disorder, I want you to know that I really feel for you. And if you suffer from a disorder that people talk negatively about, you can't give in to the things that they say about your disorder, okay? Because what they are saying is coming from a very deep misunderstanding of what it feels like to experience having that disorder. And it's even possible that maybe they were hurt by someone who had the disorder. I don't know whether or not that's the case with her in particular. It's just something that I know I experienced when I listened to her, and that's what I, I thought of. Um, but yeah, so if it's coming from that kind of place, like, you need to know that it's possible to get better, first of all. Um, I'm thinking of how in Birds of Prey, the emancipation of one Harley Quinn, which I recently watched, um, one of the things that helped her heal and led to her transformation and her character arc was the fact that she forced herself to build a community around her and to start caring about other people and putting their needs first. And it's so when you have histrionic or BPD, you tend to do a lot of attention seeking behavior. And even if like you don't necessarily have those disorders or you don't know that you do, but you do notice that you have a lot of attention seeking behavior, like this is still for you. So when you do a lot of attention seeking behavior, it's kind of a look at me and wanting other people to validate you and make you feel worthy, right? Because you have a hard time doing it yourself. And you have a hard time building real connections with people because maybe you get overly attached and then you realize that they're not as attached and super hurtful because, like, you don't have a super steady sense of self, for example. So, one of the things that they teach you when you use attention seeking behavior as a way to build connection and feel better about yourself and to feel as though you're seen by people is, in actuality, what you need to do is you need to give affection and attention to other people. And that is how you build connection. It's the giving and receiving of attention and affection with another person. Now, again, it does need to be reciprocal. They do need to be giving it back to you if you're giving it to them. If they're not, then that is toxic in its own ways. So, but yeah, so she ends up watching over this little girl. At first she goes and gets her because like she needs the crystal, and the girl ate the crystal, and she's like, I'm trying to be a different person now, so I can't just kill you. I can't just turn you in, so I guess I'm gonna have to take you in until you poop it out, don't I, kid? Whatever. She ends up getting attached to this kid because she's caring for her. And she ends up building an actual connection with her again because she's caring for her. She has no other choice. This is a child, and Harley is a grown woman. So, all of that to say, that was a big ass spiel, too. Jesus. This is the video of big spiels. Um, you need to balance attention. You need to give people attention as much as you want to receive it. You need to take the spotlight off of yourself and allow other people to also shine. And that will actually, like, watching other people shine and allowing yourself to feel inspired by other people is actually super helpful in feeling warm ourselves. We can be warm by being near another person's fire, as long as that person's fire isn't burning us. So, next we're going to ask how you can utilize the getting over of thine own bullshit. How you are meant to utilize it. Spirit. Spirit, how is Pile 2 meant to utilize the getting over of their own bullshits? Death. Wow, we talked about death earlier. And Eight of Pentacles in reverse, perfection. So death is card number 13. It is Scorpio energy. And Eight of Pentacles in reverse, so imperfection, letting go of the idea of perfection. So, I mean, maybe some of you struggle with feeling imperfect. Maybe some of you struggle with self-loathing feelings. I don't get that super strongly for a lot of you. But yeah, so the way you're meant to utilize this is to let it facilitate other changes that are going to happen with you. You're probably at the beginning of your own character arc. You're probably at the beginning of a change that you're going to go through, and often it is outside changes with the tower here that create internal changes with death. So yeah, just let it change you. Let it make you into a different person or an evolved version of yourself. And with the Eight of Pentacles in reverse, I mean, no one is ever perfect, but every evolution leads us closer to our highest self, which is the closest we will ever get to perfection. Okay? All right. So, with all of the cards and the formalities out of the way, we are now going to think of a question that we're going to ask the crystal. Think of a question you want to ask the pendulum. You can think it really loudly, or you can say it out loud. Pause if you need to. And Spirit, what is the answer to pile two's question? No. The answer to your question, pile two, is no. It's a very hard no. Wow. Okay. So, pile two, that is all I have for you. Thank you for coming to your reading. I hope it wasn't too off-putting for you. I feel like I was really giving harsh advice. I hope I wasn't being too harsh with anybody. I hope I didn't offend anyone. That is truly not my intention. But this is what I saw and it's what came out. So thank you for coming. Thank you for sitting through it. Thank you for not hating on me in the comments. Thank you if you do anyway, because as far as YouTube is concerned, any interaction is good interaction for us. But yeah, so if this didn't totally piss you off, like and subscribe. If you need more guidance in a more personal fashion, I do offer tarot readings. My email is in the bio. I only charge $20 per hour and I book a week in advance. And if not, if you just want to do these free readings, that's perfectly fine with me. I wouldn't do them if I didn't love doing them. So thank you again, and be good, be safe, and love and light to you. Bye. Hi, Pile 3, and welcome to your reading. If you resonated with the Chakra pendulum or the card that says, I feel kind of crappy, blank will make me feel a little less out of it, then this is your reading. One of the things that I noted when I was shuffling is your answer cards came out so fast. So Spirit definitely wants to talk to you. So let's see what they have to say. So for what you need, we have milk thistle intrusion. We have mustard with faith. Oh, ye of little faith. I just heard that. I don't even know where that's from. And then we have cleaning up some shit. Or cleaning some shit up. Okay. And for what to leave behind, we have coriander with immortality. Turmeric with diversity. Interesting. And yoga and more yoga. Okay. So we're going to start with the right side just because I always feel like I need to clarify it because it sounds like it makes no sense. Okay. So with yoga and more yoga, immortality and diversity, I kind of feel like pile 3, you suffer from productive procrastination. Um, and the reason I say that is because intrinsically, yoga, diversity, and even immortality, those are not bad things intrinsically. Um, but I feel like you're avoiding something that you actually need to do. Whether, I mean, you could actually need to clean your house, I don't know. Um, but you're avoiding something that you need to do, whether it be something that you don't like doing or something that triggers a fear of failure in you. And so instead, you fill all of your time doing a bunch of other things that maybe they're good things, they're helpful to you in some sense or another, but none of them are the thing that you need to get done. Okay, it's like when you need to write an essay really badly. It's like a 10-page essay. It's super important. It's going to be 50% of your grade. And maybe you're not a strong writer, or maybe you just get really, because it's such a big deal, it's 50% of your grade, so it's giving you anxiety. And you've known about it for 2 weeks. If I remember college correctly, that's not a lot of time to write a 10-page paper, but I digress. Maybe you've known about it for 2 weeks, and maybe you did all your research and everything, but you haven't written a word, and you sit down to write about it, and now suddenly you're like, let's get some stretching in before we sit down. We're going to be sitting for like 5 hours straight. Let's get some stretching in. Let's do some yoga. You know what? That closet, it really needs to be cleaned out. Oh, you know what? My prescription. I need to go pick up my prescription. All these things that, do they need to get done? Are they good for you? Absolutely. None of them directly apply to this 10-page paper, though, do they? None of them. And then what do? You cram and you crunch and you know, make yourself write a 10-page paper in 2 hours instead because you waited till the last minutes. Another way in which this plays out, and if you are someone who maybe you're not in college anymore or you're not in school anymore, but you did do that, I guarantee in some way you do that in adulthood. I guarantee it. Productive procrastination is a major way that we push off things that we are afraid to do. Another way that we do that is, we tell ourselves that we need to do all this research and we need to get all this fine equipment in order to do a thing. Well, maybe you don't actually need to do that. You're just trying to find ways to avoid doing the thing. Maybe you have a job that you hate and you need to quit it, but you keep coming up with all these reasons why you can't do it, but no, all those reasons actually have solutions. And you simply just are afraid that you won't be able to get another one. Something like that. That's what I'm getting very strongly. You are suffering from productive procrastination. And you know what, in our society, it's really hard to detect because as long as you're doing something, you look like you're not wasting time. But like I said, if none of it applies to the thing that you really need to get done, then you know, you're not doing the thing you really need to do. Productive procrastination also could look like staying at a 9 to 5 when you actually want to start your own business. It can look like, you know, not practicing your art because it doesn't pay the bills right now, so you never practice it. Or you have a whole piece that is ready to be published, but you never send it off anywhere. That's another way that you procrastinate, and instead you spend all this time editing it instead of actually publishing it. That exact example actually came up in pile one. So if you were attracted to pile one, I would go ahead and take a look at that. Um, the thing you need, on the other hand, cleaning some shit up. Which, with this being the Virgo new moon, that could be very literal. Maybe you need to clean your house and you maybe don't enjoy cleaning, so you do everything but clean your house. But the issue is that, like, you know, for example, if you never do your dishes and you're always spending money eating out because you never do your dishes, then you're actually making your financial situation worse. This could also be less literal. Again, cleaning up your habits. Like, what little habits do you have that prevent you from working on the thing that you actually need to work on or want to work on? With faith and intrusion, I feel like faith is very plain and simple. You need to have faith that the work you put in is going to bear fruit. With intrusion, especially if it's something like you have a 9 to 5, but you also have a dream. And so it's really easy to tell yourself that the dream is a waste of time. But the thing is that you want to do that thing for a reason. Maybe you have a message that you need to share. Maybe your art will move people. Maybe your music will move people. Maybe you want to work with people that suffer from addictions. Whatever. You need to make time to allow that thing to intrude on the rest of your life. That's how I'm taking that. You need to clean up your habits, have faith that your effort will bear fruits, and make time for that thing in your life. Okay? So, all of that being said, you know, if this is resonating, then we're going to go ahead and we're going to get into the tarot and we're going to ask some more specific questions. And then we will ask the pendulum whatever your personal question is. I think, like, definitely, like, little habits. Like, that's something I said in the beginning with the Virgo New Moon is that's a great time to clean up your habits, to clean up your routine. And I think, like, for those of you that just kind of needed that little extra push, this was your pile. All right. So, what would help pile 3 to release their productive procrastination? Sure, we'll take all that. Oh, what do we have? Eight of Pentacles in reverse. This card has literally come out in every single pile. I shit you not. I shuffle these cards. I shuffle them, but this one keeps coming out. Every single one of you needs to let go of the idea of perfection in some capacity. It doesn't exist. It does not exist. Okay. Sorry. Now then, Eight of Pentacles in reverse. We have the King of Swords, and we have the Tower in the reverse. Okay. So the Tower is Aries energy. It's card number 16. So what would help you to release your productive procrastination? Realizing that even if you fail, it's fine. Even if you fail, it's fine. The sky isn't going to fall down. Your life isn't going to be turned upside down. I mean, maybe if you know, like invest, I don't know how any of this works, but like, if you invest your mortgage against a business financially, I mean, maybe don't do that, but like, as long as you are calculating of the steps that you take, you get advice from people that you trust that are experts in whatever that you're trying to do, you failure is not going to kill you. It is fine. You have a very strong fear of failure, but if you, with the King of Swords here, if you talk to people who have knowledge about the thing that you're afraid to do, it will help. It'll help ease your fears. It'll help you to take the correct steps. I think that's a major thing that you're afraid of. Especially with the Tower in the reverse. Like, you think if you fail at this thing, it's going to be catastrophic. It's not going to be. It is not going to be catastrophic. Okay? Find some experts in whatever it is you want to do. Find people who have succeeded in what you want to do. And if you can't personally talk to them, see if they have a YouTube channel and they talk about the stuff. See if they have a podcast, if they wrote books about the thing. You need to talk to experts and you need a mentor, okay? Or at least do your research. What steps can pile 3 take to release their productive procrastination, Spirit? What steps can pile 3 take, even though I feel like I just gave you a very solid one, but okay. So we have Judgment in the reverse, which is card number 20 in this deck, and that's, I think, Aries energy, once again, Judgment. Yeah. And then we have the 5 of Wands in the reverse. You need to get out of your analysis paralysis. I feel like you have a lot of internal conflicts. I feel like you're having analysis paralysis. And I feel like you don't trust yourself. You need to get out of that. You need to do some journaling and find out why. That's a piece of advice that I picked up from Chloe Taylor. I don't know if you know of her. She's another tarot reader on YouTube. And she has a podcast, and she said that one of the best things you can do when you're afraid of failure or you want to do something and you think you can't is to just ask why. So, like, at the top of the page, write down the thing you want to do. Like, I want to travel to India. Okay, cool. Write down the big thing that you think is standing in your way. So, money is a very common example. I don't have enough money. Why? And you just keep asking why to all of your beliefs and all the things that are standing in your way until you get to what the core issue is. The core belief, the core thing, okay? There are people who have such solid belief in themselves and in the universe and trust that they can delulu themselves into anything they want to do. Okay? We all know someone who, underdog, totally should not have been able to do a thing, did the thing anyway. And it's because they had solid belief in themselves, solid belief in the universe. You need to delulu your valulu until it comes tralulu, okay? Just let yourself be delusional that you can get the thing that you want to get, that you can do the thing that you want to do. Because if you believe that incredibly hard, it means A, you don't give up. You find ways to make shit work. Also, the universe has weird ass ways of delivering things to us to help us. The universe helps those who helps themselves, okay? Another person who's really great to listen to about like motivation and being resourceful and belief in themselves is oh my god, I can't think of his name. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. I can't think of his name. Hold on. Tony Robbins, that's his name. Tony Robbins. He's another person who is like, he's really great about like motivation, resourcefulness, you know, believing in yourself, believing in the vision, and he's known for helping entrepreneurs to succeed. Another one that came to mind when I was, admittedly, I had to type Tony's name into Google, so because I could remember his first name, but I couldn't remember his last name, and I had to like type him in to Google on my computer because I can't use, like, if I'm running the camera on my phone, I can't use my phone at all. The other person that came to mind though when I was typing in his name is also Joe Dispenza. Joe Dispenza is another one who is all about that belief. Belief, belief, belief. You need to simply have it. Okay, and get yourself out of analysis paralysis. Take steps to undo your limiting thoughts. Okay? So, how can pile 3 prep for the change? How can pile 3 prep for finally making their shit come true? Oh my god, okay. So we have 3 cards. Okay, we have 8 of Wands, we have 4 of Pentacles, and we have the Page of Swords in the reverse. With the Page of Swords in reverse, I'm definitely going back to what I said earlier about, like, you know, if you're someone who's like, oh, I need to do more research. Oh, I like if whatever you're doing to procrastinate is specifically um, knowledge based or research based, where I need this skill or I need this degree, stop. Stop. You need to pull that in because once again, you are believing that you don't already have whatever you need to do the thing. You need to control that urge, that tendency, because I'm feeling it as like a almost like I'm really feeling it as a sense of urgency. Like you literally sit down to do the thing and you're like, I'm gonna do it. I'm finally gonna do it. I'm gonna type that novel. You sit down and then you're just struck with this sense of urgency. If, for example, you want to do something and it's something like writing where it's like an essay or a story or what have you, um, something that you can do that will help you when you feel that is go ahead and just let yourself start typing. Just start typing using what you know, what you have, and when you come across something that you realize that you need to research or you need to look up something or whatever, you need to double check something, change your font really fast, change your font, and in capital letters, write to be added or something to that effect. Change back to your original font and color. Keep going. Okay, interrupt your own flow as little as possible. All right. I'm getting that you are someone who maybe interrupts your flow all the time. You need to get that under control. Because once you get into flow state, when we get into a flow state, it becomes the subconscious moving through us. It becomes the unconscious moving through us, the universe moving through us, the divine moving through us, all these things that are not the ego moving through us and creating and doing and speaking and what have you. And when you're in this flow state, that's a beautiful way in which you get things done very swiftly. That's how you type 10 pages in 2 hours. Okay? However, it takes time to get into that flow state. It takes approximately 7 to 15 minutes to reach flow state. And every single time you interrupt flow state, that is now 7 to 15 minutes that you have to spend getting back into it. Okay? So find ways to control your urge to interrupt it. Okay? That's the main thing Spirit wants you to do, is to get that under control. Because there is a risk here that going after the thing is possibly so scary for you that you will continue to sabotage even once you get into it. And it's because you're going to find reasons to pull out of it and to interrupt yourself and to not let it actually come to completion. Spirit wants you to get under control right now. Okay? Now then, how can pile 3 bring in their ability to actually do the thing? Clean up their habits, do the thing they need to do. Oh, wow. Okay. That Justice card literally ended up right on that pile. So we have Justice. That's card number 8, Libra energy. We have the 2 of Wands in the reverse. Yep. And we have the 10 of Pentacles. Okay. With the Justice here, I feel like it's a sense of needing to be fair to yourself and needing to be fair to whatever the stream or project is. Because ultimately, it is unfair to yourself if you don't go after the things that you want to do. Sitting with the knowledge that these things deserve your attention, time, and energy. With the 2 of Wands in reverse, again, getting out of analysis paralysis, getting out of the planning stage, actually realizing that you are ready and not getting super lost with the ego. Especially if the ego is being overly concerned with money at this time, okay? You need to not be thinking about that right now, okay? Don't be thinking about I'm feeling like really the people who work a 9 to 5 and they have something that they want to do instead, but their 9 to 5 makes the money and the other thing doesn't make the money right now, so they have a really hard time justifying, justify. They have a really hard time justifying the worthiness of spending their time and energy on the thing they would actually rather be doing. But I'm going to tell you right now, if you hate your 9 to 5, it becomes not worth the money real fast. And if you never start working on the thing that you really want to do while you're at least somewhat secure, you're never going to get started. Chasing the bag is not worth it if you hate what you have to do to get it. It's really, really not worth it. And if that's the thing holding you back, if you think that if you dedicate, say for example, if you need to change your schedule a little bit in order to make sure that you have time to dedicate to this thing, but you're afraid to because you're afraid of the loss of wealth, the universe will fix that for you. You just need to trust. You need to let go of the ego and let go of your fears, and you need to trust. The universe will either help you find ways for your expenses to become less so that you can afford having a little less money in order to work on this thing, or the universe will help you find ways to bring more money in so long as you work on this thing, okay? My personal example, I actually did have to limit my hours a little bit to be able to do this. Am I making a little less money at my job? Yes, I am. Absolutely. Am I making money anyway when people come to me? Yeah, I'm making money anyway. It's not exactly the same, but it balances itself in different ways, because I get a sense of happiness and I get a sense of feeling like I'm using my own innate gifts and talents, doing what I enjoy doing, even though it makes me less money. Money is weirdly unsustainable, at least in terms of our well-being. Money is not super sustainable when it comes to our well-being. Happiness is. Feeling like what you do matter is. Having a connection with another person, even if it's brief, is. Those are the things that are sustainable to your happiness, not the dollar signs in your bank account. Okay? Now then, how does Spirit want you to utilize the cleaning up of your habits? How does Spirit want you to utilize this? Okay. Seven of Cups in the reverse. And if I can pick it up. Three of Wands. Yeah. Okay. So Seven of Cups in reverse is kind of, it is letting go of illusions, but it's also, when you think about it in a more practical sense, especially when you're using it with the Three of Wands. So the Three of Wands is communication. It can be abundance. And it's just like, basically, by cleaning up your habits, you turn the thing that you want to do from a fantasy into reality, because you are showing yourself and the universe that you are serious about this thing. It's no longer a fantasy if you take the time every single day to sit down and write. You are now a writer. It is no longer a fantasy if you sit down and you go to school for, if you actually want to do hair and nails. If you start going to school for it and doing hair and nails every single day, it's no longer a fantasy. It's now reality. That is what Spirit wants you to do. Spirit wants you to communicate to yourself and to the universe that you are ready for this to no longer be a fantasy by putting in consistent effort. Okay? You are to change up your routines and habits. Why? To actually adopt new ones. Okay? I feel like that's pretty straightforward. So with nothing else to be said, we're going to go ahead and get to this last part. Go ahead and focus on whatever question you want to ask the pendulum. Go ahead and pause the video if you need a second to think of your question. And you can either say it out loud, or if you don't want to say it out loud, you can just think it really, really hard. But go ahead and ask your question. The answer to your question is yes. It's a hard yes. The answer to your question is absolutely yes. All right. So hopefully all of this was helpful to you. And if you need more guidance, or if you would like a more personal reading, my email is in the bio. I do offer personal readings. I book a week ahead of time, and I only charge $20 per hour. Or if you would rather just use these general readings, I'm always happy for the patronage, for the interaction. Like, comment, and subscribe, and go get your dreams. Go live your dreams. That is how you live your best life. Going after your dreams. Okay? So, be good, be safe, and my brain just froze. Be good, be safe, and love and light to you. Bye.